So I was gonna do the moon phases and my hack for the moon phase cycle and, you know, what to do in the different moon phases if you want to this week for this witchy video. But instead, a content creator that I look up to so much has created a tag in the space, and I thought I might have potentially a perspective on that. So for our Getting Witchy this week, I'm going to be discussing my witchy fail tales or my perspective on that, and hopefully other people could relate. I think I've got a pretty good one, to be honest. I promise to do the moon phases next week because I want to cover as many basic bases as I physically can, you know? So Benta the Norse Witch is an incredible content creator and such an amazing voice in the witchcraft spaces online. I don't know that you'll ever see this, but if you do, hi, I love you. Your content is incredible and you're such an inspiration. Oh my God. And they created the tag Fail Tales to talk about stuff that we might not necessarily be that good at in our own crafts. And I think that's such a lovely thing to do, because part of the reason that I wanted to start making content on my own practice and my own craft is because it feels like when you go online and you see other people and their content or them discussing their craft, it feels very like everyone around you is so clued up. Everyone knows exactly what they're doing at all times and you don't. And it's really scary. It can be really scary moving into these spaces. And that's a big reason why I started doing witchcraft content myself. One, because I love doing it. It's one of my great passions. My witchcraft, my games, and my guinea pigs. They're like my whole life, you know? But I wanted to start making content on it as someone who is not terribly new, but somewhat new to, or like learning, like someone who is learning. I've been in this like officially trying to learn as much as I can and practice what I can and experience what I can for around 5-ish years. And that's like nothing, it feels like nothing. And I'm still learning so much. There's still so much I don't know. There's still so many mistakes that I'm making that I'm having to learn and grow from. So when I saw that they had made this tag, I was over the moon because it normalizes those feelings. It brings you together knowing that, you know, everyone around you doesn't always know exactly what they're doing. And so many of us are experimenting. We are learning. We're just at different stages along that journey, right? And so the first thing I want to talk about in these fail tales and what I suck at very much, and I've been working on so hard because that's all you can do, right? That is imposter syndrome and trusting myself. And I think a lot of people could probably relate. At any level, I think, can at any time experience that feeling like maybe I don't know what's going on, or maybe I didn't feel that thing, or maybe the 7 messages I asked for and got weren't messages. It's so hard being in this space and finding it within yourself, feeling the confidence, finding the experience as well, to trust yourself. I'm going to give an example here. I have been reading my own tarot cards for years, and about 2-ish years ago, I'd have to check my Twitch for that, but about 2-ish years ago, I started pulling cards on stream. And it started out just with pulling a community card at the start of every stream, and getting more used to reading for other people and getting more used to not second guessing myself. And it's only in the last sort of year, even half a year, that I have stopped panicking and looking for the meanings of the cards, like online. Because every time I would look up the meanings of the cards, I was right. I knew these cards, I knew what they meant, and I knew what messages I was picking up from them as I'm pulling them, right? I know which part of the base sort of meanings of the cards were jumping out at me, and what, you know, color correspondence was popping out, or the way that they were looking at each other in the different card pulls was popping out, and all the little different intricacies of intuitively reading the cards. I knew, but I still had to seek the validation for it, because trusting yourself in this space is hard work. It is hard work. And I think the only reason that I have managed to work through some of that. Not everywhere. I've been doing really good in the tarot reading, but just in like the base parts of the craft, for example. For example, knowing if a spell has done the job that I've wanted it to do. Second guessing it all the time. It could have worked perfectly, absolutely perfectly. But there's always that voice in my head that is, that wasn't you, or the spell didn't work, it was this thing, or blah, 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 blah. And it's so hard to get over that voice. Feeling like you have to second guess everything is so hard. It can be really helpful and grounding to a degree, but seeking validation for everything is not. And I know I've sucked at it, and I suck at it less the longer I go on. And I think that's true of anything that requires practice. Is the more you experience, the more you do and you practice, the more you are going to understand and sense what is working and what is not. But it is hard work. It is damn hard work. So I just want you to know, if you're starting out, if you're a beginner or an intermediate or an incredibly professional, top of the range magical practitioner, anyone really, if you are going through that, if you are feeling like you've got to validate what you're doing, or you're second guessing it, or anything like that, just know that you're not alone in that. So my top fail tale is seeking validation, having that imposter syndrome, not trusting myself, and I am actively working on it, and I do think I'm getting a lot better. I'm 10 times better now than I was even 6 months ago. But it does require a lot of practice and a lot of effort, and you gotta keep at it. So this next one is about not keeping promises. I am an oath breaker. When I'm working with the spirits or energies, and I know I'm so bad at it, and I'm so lucky that what I'm working with hasn't been particularly perturbed by it, but I have made promises that I have not kept before, and I've actually spoken about this in another video. It's because I know that I will promise to light a candle every day for a week. Will I do it? Not always. Sometimes I'm very good at it. I really am. Sometimes it will, but sometimes life gets hectic, right? So a big fail for me is keeping those promises and making sure that I light those candles, that I do those offerings, that I sit in the contemplation or the meditation that I have promised to do, and actually doing it. I think it would probably benefit me if I just stopped making promises like that and made simpler promises. One of the promises I made recently was to put a plant in my working space, on my altar space. And I clarified in that I would first set it up on that window behind me because it's the only one that gets any real sun. And I am doing that. I'm growing a little plant. I planted various different seeds, so I'm not quite sure what plant is coming up, but I'm excited to find out, and it's growing strong. It's doing really well. But otherwise, I'm bad. I am bad at keeping those promises. Whoops. Another one for you. I know I'm terrible at cleansing my tools. I know I am. And the thing is that I'm so good at cleansing my space. Whenever I do anything, it's one of the first things I do. Cleanse the space I'm working in. I will physically clean and tidy the space, and then I will open the window, I'll light the incense, and just visualize all of the unwanted energies just like getting the hell out through the window, seeing that space with the energy that I need to fill it with, right? So I nailed it. Absolutely nailed that. Tools, crystals, herbs. I could be better. I could be so much better. And I'd probably get better results. And that would probably help the imposter syndrome, to be honest. And this next one that I'm going to tell you about goes along the same lines. The Norse Witch actually mentioned something akin to this in their video, and that is in terms of grimoiring or journaling, right? So I have a bunch of research pages in my Grimmy, and And most of the videos that I make are based on the notes that I have in that. I'm just sharing all of this info that I have noted down over time, right? Just going through my notes page by page and working out of that. So I'm so good at noting down the research that I've done. My Grimmy is basically just a big research book, which is so cool and so chill. It's got a couple workings that I've done in there. And then I leave space to make notes on those workings. And I never fill them. And I know that would be so good for me. I know it would be so good for my practice if I sat down after a working, maybe immediately after, and just noted how I felt that it went, or after I feel like it's been fulfilled and the results that I've seen from that, and notes on maybe how I could tweak it to be more refined or more directed. But I don't. I feel so bad about that all the time. But like, I've got mental notes on it, but I know that's not good because the memory, she's not what she used to be, you know? And again, if I noted down how a spell went, how a working went, the kind of results that I've seen from it, how I might tweak it, the energies that I felt, any signs surrounding it even, I know that that would help with the imposter syndrome. But do I do it? Here's the thing though. Here's the thing. Realistically, we want to do it all, don't we? We want to be able to do absolutely everything. I want to be able to sit down and meticulously plan a working around the day of the week and the planet it corresponds with and the hour that corresponds with it and all the herbs and the crystals and the correspondences that correspond with it, and sit there and spend hours just taking in and working with those energies, the spirits of those herbs, of those plants, of the planets, of everything, and just building this spell and doing it at the right time and noting it all down and etc. But a thing to remember is that life is hectic, the world is on fire, and doing that as much as you can, being as excellent in your craft as you can be, should always be something we strive for, right? But being 110% all the time with it is impossible. So doing the workings that you do, I know, I heard it. Doing the workings that you do and noting down what you can or working with what you can, offering and doing as much of the promises as you can so be enough sometimes. And it's important not to beat ourselves up about things like that, and just take it as the learning process that it is. Noting it, for example, as me not lighting that candle for the 7 days and only doing 5 days maybe affected the efficacy of what working I was doing, for example, and then taking that and using it as a learning moment, then that is going to have any better impact on you than trying to do it perfectly all the time and just burning out, I feel. Also, do you like my little Venus necklace? I made it myself! Isn't she pretty? Oh, she's not. I'm still learning. But she works for me and I love her. She's even got a little bit of quartz here. Realistically, I know I'm probably not adding all that much useful info or conversation to this topic. That's a little disclaimer I put in every one of these videos that I've made, because a lot of the time I'm doing these for me and to document my learning process, and me talking about it and making these videos really helps like cement some of this information in my brain. And also it's a major passion project of mine, so I love doing these. But as a learner and as someone who trips up and makes mistakes all the time, tries to learn from them, I thought that maybe I could offer a little perspective on how it feels to be in that kind of learning stage, to be sort of, I don't know how I categorize myself, early intermediate maybe? How I feel a lot of our hurdles are compromised of needing to just learn how to trust ourselves more, how to not feel like an imposter or a fraud in certain situations, to listen to our intuition, to not second guess it and go and validate it by Googling things, to just feel the energies and feel the intricacies of what we're doing and trust them. Again, I'm gonna link the Norse Witch's video down below. and I'd love to hear if you have any fail tales in your craft, because I think it's such an interesting topic and it's a really good one to get people talking and not feeling so alienated in any of these mistakes we make, because it's relatable, because we go through these things and we should talk about them, and I love this tag so much. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a cracking time zone. You stay fed, watered, rested, know that you're loved, because I love you, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.